What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Tall Benfica podcast. My name is Alfredo. With me tonight, Cristiano. He's not here yet, but he will be here soon. Also, Dave de Oliveira, as always. What's going on, my brother?
Nothing much. Good to be back on, Alfredo. New content coming out tonight with the Benfica podcast here, so good to be back on here.
Yeah, for sure. So tonight we have decided, tonight, by the way, is episode 339. We have decided to open it up. I think that there's a lot of unrest, if you will, in the Benfica world, in the fan world, in the saucy world, in the supporter world. So we figured we'd give everybody a voice. For those of you that have been following the podcast for a long, long time, back in probably year 2 or 3, we had a hangout. We were doing a hangout. So this is how we did the hangout and the video chat. We had a total of 9 or 10 people in the hangout. So this is kind of like it, but we're gonna be bringing in one person at a time. We're going to give everyone about 2 minutes to speak their mind, Benfica-related topic also. I also have a couple recorded ones that people took the time to record and send them to me that they want to be heard. And this is what it's about. It's about hearing people. It's about hearing what's on their mind and have them just get things off their chest. And I'm sure that with the current state of things, it's not the best. While we had a very strong end of season last season, which ended in the title. Things have not gone, or there hasn't been much continuity to that. So with that in mind, and there's already a lot of people comparing or bringing up Rui Vitoria's name as in the same sentence that you talk about Lage. And I don't know if you want to do that yet, but nonetheless, it is definitely something after last year and the struggle that we had with Vitória, and then seeing Lage coming on and seeing what went on there, and the fact that he was able to kind of resurrect this team, kind of left us with salivating for this season. But after the win in the ICC, and ICC is what it is, and I don't know if you could make much of it. Yes, it's an international preseason tournament, perhaps the most important international preseason tournament, and Benfica ended up wrapping that up. But after that, we had the win against Sporting for the Super Cup, and that was some kind of misleading too. 5-0. One of the halves wasn't all that great, and then we've had so games. We also had a game against who was it, Paços de Ferreira in the beginning.
That followed up against another 5-0 win after Sporting.
And we trounced them, and then a couple more games. We had the Porto loss, which we were found out, and things ended up trickling from there. So it hasn't been quite the best, but we're gonna bring our first guest in. It's Bruno Barros, our friend of the podcast. He helps us out a lot. Bruno, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. So 2 minutes to speak your mind and in terms of Benfica and what your thoughts are on Benfica.
First of all, I want to say thank you for doing this, Alfredo. This is actually a really good idea. And you always come up with some fantastic ideas. So you're doing good as a host.
But he's already kissing ass.
Going on to my 2 minutes. We're going through a rough time right now. The team's not clicking. I think it's also important to note that we lost our 2 most crucial players, our 2 best players, Felix and Janusz. And we're trying to find the replacement for that, and it's not easy to replace those kinds of players. I think our best player right now is Rafa, personally. And I think that once we start clicking, it's going to be nearly impossible to stop us. So let's see what Lage can come up with to make us click.
Yeah. What are any other thoughts on Europe? Europe has been quite shambles for us.
There's really no thoughts for that. You see what happened with the first two games where we go in playing with players that are not starters. I mean, you go into the first game with two players that were on the transfer sheet during the summer, and now you're starting them on a Champions League game where they haven't really played any other games. That's a little weird to me. I don't know if this is, and I'm not trying to start any big discussions about this or any polemica, but I don't know if it's the president putting his word down or if it's actually Laj's choice. Um, doesn't seem like a wise choice to me to play those guys, but I don't know. I'm sure there was a reason for it.
Yeah. Well, we thank you very much for your participation, and
Thank you very much, guys.
and I'll see you. Take care, Bruno. And that was our first participant of this open forum, Bruno Barge. He helps us out. You guys have seen him quite a bit here. So yeah, I mean, he brings up some points there. And look, we're not here to judge you or to question your opinion, but certainly it's good to be heard, and I think that there's a lot of things that Bruno touched up on that a lot of us agree with. That yes, we're all hoping that the team is going to is going to be able to bounce back, and things are going to click. But in the meantime, there's some rough going out there, and they've really from last year. Bruno brought up very good points that we lost two of our major players, but from last year, there shouldn't be the drop off that we've had just because we lost those players. One, of course, being Felix. The other one, Jonas, who didn't play a lot. I know that he scored, but still, there shouldn't be that much of a drop off.
There shouldn't be that much of a drop off, but with these with a lot of these guys coming back from Benfica's teams of past, we've seen that Benfica tends to struggle in September and October, and sure, this is a new coach, which could be the most concerning part is that it is Bruno Lage managing this team and not Rui Vitoria, which we've blamed for their struggles in the past when it is September and October. But so the most concerning part would be that it's a team managed by Bruno Lage, and they're still struggling in September and October because we've seen this from Benfica in years past. So maybe it's a lack of motivation from the players. They did have to travel overseas, like you said, for the ICC. So maybe this is kind of like their dog days in the States. In Canada, we say the dog days of summer when it's a baseball season, when it's the middle of the season. So maybe they've got some fatigue already in September and October from their North American tour.
Fatigue in October, man. Come on. Should be anything but fatigue, but I do understand. Next up, we're gonna bring in Luis Siqueira. You also know him as 21, Canal 21. He took the time to record a message for us, so I'm gonna play it for you guys.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Luis here from the channel 21, or in English 21. Also want to say massive thanks to Benfica Podcast for letting me do this, and I'm going to get straight to the point. Obviously, the form that Benfica is at the moment is not the best. Not so much for the results, but it's the way we play, the way that we don't look in any shape or form like the Benfica we did at the end of the season, of last season. We have the same coach. We only changed one player. But I think Lage hasn't really given a chance to have the same 11 for two games in a row. And maybe just hoping for players to start clicking. But I believe you got to give time to players to click with each other. You can't just keep changing every game. But mainly I want to speak about Vieira, because I have this idea that it's time to say, thank you, Vieira. We'll take it from here, because he's done great things, man. I'm so grateful for Seychelles and the fact that we have like players all over the world, kids, that just they come out of nowhere. Like, not just Felix. You have Felix, you have Silva, you have Cancelo, you have even Cavaleiro and Gedge, those players are still playing. They came from Benfica, and Europe knows about them, and they're going to be, at least 2 or 3 of them are going to be great stars. And it seems that it's going to carry on that way. So I thank him for that. Benfica TV is also a great channel. We shows our own games. Fantastic. Like no other club does that. That's incredible. But I think we need somebody now a bit more hungry for Europe. Somebody that wants to put our name out there again. Because really, realistically, like living in the UK, it's hard to get into people's heads that we were once a Champions League side. Because right now we look like a Europa League side at best. And I don't want to accept that. I'm not going to accept that. And we need a chairman that, if Vieira's, not thinking about that, then we need somebody there. Give Benfica back to the fans. Let us dream for a European trophy. Again, I don't expect to be the Champions League in the next 5 years, but I'm just saying, why can't we be quarterfinalists? Do what Napoli can do. If Napoli has a good run, they can easily go to the semi-finals. If they have a mixture of clubs and a mixture of matches that go their way. So, bottom line, I think it's time. I mean, he's been there for so many years. It's the longest we had a chairman. It's the longest we had the same chairman. That's what I wanted to say. So he's been there for so long now that it's time. Maybe it's time. Thank you, Vieira. We'll take it from here. Guys, massive thanks for letting me be on. Carrega Benfica. See you later.
Yeah, there was Luis Queira, also known as 21, and he brings up great points. Also, Luis Vieira.
I say one thing for sure. That was a sexy accent. That accent always gets me, guys. But now, phenomenal points by him. Obviously, shared by many Benfiquistas. And very happy and glad that we had him here. Appreciate your participation, 21, and we look forward to having you on and listening to you and interacting with you in the future.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm Cristiano Oliveira.
Cristiano's here.
Welcome, everybody. What's going on? Pleasure to be here with you all today on this exciting day. What do we call it today? Participation day?
Open forum.
A voting day? Can we do 2 things at once? Because in Portugal, they can't vote and play. So are we allowed to have this huge crucial day on the Benfica podcast? And, do we still participate or do we take the day off?
No, we participate.
Did you know that on Sunday, while the whole country seemed to be asleep or I shouldn't say asleep. I take that back. While the whole country was busy voting, the Estádio da Luz was being assaltado.
I did not. I did read something like that.
Cristiano, you learn things. Yeah. So while the whole country was so motivated, and turning up for the urnas so they don't get their own Donald Trump. Fantastic job by you guys. Even the policemen were in line voting, and apparently somebody decided to take it upon themselves to go ahead and assaltar the Estádio da Luz, and they got away with a lot of jerseys. So if any of you guys are getting jerseys on the cheap, where most likely they came from, and no, they did not fall off the back of a truck. They were indeed stolen by some of the bandidos.
So you got two in the space of a year. You got 2 contrasting visits, right? You got one from the Jehovah community, which I have nothing against, by the way.
Fantastic people. They're all tremendous. Just don't ring my doorbell. Besides that, you guys are fantastic.
Couple baptism ceremonies going on in little mobile pools by the sideline on there on the 50.
Yeah.
And then you got the visit from the people that
the bandidos
obviously didn't go vote, or
but
maybe they went vote and then they went to the state.
What I was going to say is just check out the registry and see who didn't show up to vote and start investigating those people first, right? That's a good lead. It's a good lead. But that's why I should be FBI.
Did you
agent.
know that there was an abstention vote of almost 50% of people didn't go vote in Portugal, which speaks a lot. I mean, we don't want to get political, obviously, but speaks a lot.
I don't know enough about politics, but bringing it back to last week's podcast, right? When you and I, it could be that there just isn't another reliable candidate, like the Luis Vieira thing. There wasn't a good, candidate to vote, so they said, what's the word? Abster. Vou
abastecer o carro.
É isso, dude. And they decided not to go vote. So look, it is what it is. It's part of politics. It's part of the way things work, and you have the option to vote or not. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Benfica, and we're very excited to listen to the rest of you guys. Who else?
Luis brings another point that I wanted to touch up while.
Not Luis, 21. 21. Is that afternoon ago?
Yeah, that's.
Or is that like Deion Sanders?
No, that is
could be Deion Sanders.
His favorite player is 21, and
is 21 or is Nuno?
Is 21. He also
is that like a Johnny 5 thing, like Johnny number 5?
Could be.
No.
But he brings up a good point. And look, yeah, we know realistically Benfica may not be able to compete with the Sharks and be in the semifinals or finals of the Champions League, but still, we got to have a presentable showing in Europe. And Luis brings up another great. 21 brings up another great point. And for us foreigners that live outside of Portugal, that we spend most of the time talking and arguing back and forth with our friends from other countries, and we talk about Benfica. When Benfica comes in the Champions League, it's disappointing.
I'm glad that VTO made that point and that it got to you, because Dave, I've only been bitching about that same exact point for the last 5 years, that we live in the outside and they laugh at us. We're like the joke, the end of all of the end. What is it? The butt of every joke or something like that. So I'm glad that VTO mentioned. I'm glad that you took it seriously this time, because it is indeed a true reality of what goes on in the Benfica world. Or I shouldn't say the Benfica world, but the world goes around the world about Benfica, that we're not to be taken serious, because we seem to take this competition as some sort of preseason competition. I think we actually took the ICC a little bit more serious than we seem to be taking the UCL this year. So it's just the ugly reality of things right now.
Absolutely.
And why can't we make the semifinals of the Champions League? Look at Ajax last season, a same size club as us.
Dave, with all due respect, Dave, and Alfredo and everybody else, look, I keep hearing, I've seen the same thing on Twitter, because obviously there's some asinine comments on Benfica TV over the last week or so, and everybody keeps mentioning, making a semifinal run. Guys, how about we just get the hell out of the group? I mean, can we start with that? Because obviously after that, it's all the luck of the draw. You know what I mean? So if Benfica's to draw Barcelona, Real, it's kind of unrealistic to expect them to make a Champions League semifinal run. But I don't think it's unrealistic, or we're asking for too much to get them out of the group. I mean, can we win a couple more games? What is it? 3 games in 15? I mean, that is freaking embarrassing. So, Dave, love you, but let's crawl before we walk, before we
baby steps.
Exactly. So let's get the hell out of the group. That's all I'm asking for.
Well, and we got our next participant, and
look at that beautiful
she is known as the girl with many names, 1/3 of the Zagish podcast.
Yes.
Nina.
I just call her Linda because I don't know.
Linda.
I love you guys. I just wanted to say that, and it's so good to see your faces.
That's great. So tell us what's on your mind.
All right, so it was funny because I was like, "Oh, I'm kind of nervous for tonight." So I called Cynthia and I was like, "What do I talk about?" But she's gonna cover her own stuff, and Mario's gonna cover his own stuff. But I think too, like we kind of got on our high horse, like just even before the season even started with the ICC. We won that, great, whatever. We got the Taça de Liga. We had all this high things, and we had such expectations. And me personally, like I don't think we should have sold João Felix, because I think clearly ele faz falta, like a lot. But I think that nobody really is taking this serious. I was talking to Cynthia too. If you watch Eusebio's biography that he came out with a couple of years ago, or they made a couple of years ago, he expresses not sort of his dislike, but kind of he expresses that it's kind of sad that clubs in countries now are not the players are not from that country. Like, and that's fun. Like, it's good to have diversity, and I don't want to be those people that say, oh, no, no this, no that. But it's kind of like, I rather have 11 fans playing for the team than 11 estrangeiros, or like half estrangeiro. And I don't say this like, and I don't say it like demeaning or like against any other nationality. Obviously, like, I'm not like that, but I think it's like more people should take it serious, because a lot of like these fans, like, they count on this. Like, they count on their team. They have a lot of trust in their team. And it's like sometimes other people from outside of the country don't know really like how much this club means to certain people or to the country in a whole. I think more people should be more mindful of that. But I think too, like, just do your job. Like we were saying in the last podcast, me and the girls, just do your job. Like, just do it. Like, you have a job to do. You're getting paid for it. A lot of our players that we've spent loads of money on, have come to Portugal on a great opportunity, wrecked it, going out or doing this or doing that. And then it's like they have nothing to show for it. And then they just get shipped back to where they came from or somewhere else. Like, I think we're just taking too many missed opportunities, and we're too focused on we're too focused on getting income as opposed to keeping what we have.
Yeah.
Somebody retweeted a video from Jose Mourinho saying that one of his secrets is like he likes to keep the team together, like keep his key players. To an extent, I think we should be doing that, but making show for it. We should show for these things. I mean, I don't really know much of the financials. Mario will speak about that. But I think that we kind of lost ourselves a little bit, and it could be because of the players we lost and the players that we got. I think it's kind of like unsettling in a way for me to watch, because it's like we have the potential and it's there. It could be something, but it's like we're just not grabbing a hold of it. And I don't know if it's because maybe we need more team unity. I think if we have more team unity, we would do better. I think it's something where certain people don't click, or it's just, that's for me. That's my opinion. That's what I've just been saying.
Yeah.
But
I think that it speaks a lot to. There's a word here that I'm going to use that I think it applies across a lot of things, which is
ironic.
A mix. No, a mix. And when we're talking about a mix, is yes, there's an idea about Seixal. All the players can't be young players from Seixal. There has to be a mix.
Right.
There's the idea about yes, we are a selling club because we need the money. Yet there has to be a mix of, you're going to keep some of those players, right? The finances. There's got to be a mix. It's very one-sided right now.
There's the thought that someone born in Mozambique would want all Portuguese players play for Benfica, which is kind of ironic. I mean,
I know, but I think he had so much love for the club that he wanted that stuff. And at that time too, like, they were still technically ours, I guess, maybe in a way.
Whoa. Ours.
Oh. Not Benfica's, but Portugal in itself. But it is a little ironic and a little bit of a double standard what he said, but he meant well for the club, but I don't know much about tactics and this and that, because I didn't grow up watching it. I grew up listening to it with my dad. Now with technology and this and that, I'm a little bit more lucky, and I see it. I see some of the things that go on, that happen on the field, and
we see exactly what you're talking about. We agree on some of the things. A lot of things you said make a lot of sense. Obviously, I think that the players that have come in haven't filled the shoes of the ones that have left. As far as the whole thing of having more Portuguese players or not, I mean, look, you have some of the guys that have felt this jersey over the last, 10 years. One of them did not play 10 years on the club, but Jonas, the guy felt the shirt and he represented the shirt and he respected the shirt and he put his.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't have anything against
Luizão, tremendous
that.
captain.
You know.
Alfredo, to me, as long as they represent the jersey and
I think I just wish that they could kind of.
Yeah.
I think I wish we could just stick all of them in that moving elevator in the museum and just like, this is it. Here it is. This is who you're playing for. Not anybody, just the fans.
They need to update that. That footage is old, man. Come on, they need to.
No, but that's the mystica, man.
But what's in that elevator?
They can't do HD it or something. I mean, they need to do something.
Virtual reality. I don't know.
Elevator, after all. I mean, just think about the music that's played in the elevator.
That doesn't put you to sleep. That's not that's not the point. Is try to put you to sleep in that elevator. But yeah, they need to update it. That video is old already.
Oh.
Yeah,
sure. We thank you very much for your participation.
Thanks for having me.
And keep going strong with the Zagias. I know we'll get another one from the Zagias. So she'll plug all the podcast and all that good stuff.
He was flying high today. Baby.
Thank you very, very much.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
It was our pleasure.
Thanks,
Take care.
Bye.
I was thinking maybe they don't want to update that footage in the elevator because they haven't had any success in the European.
There's been no Champions League footage. There's
no, like they can't even play the Champions League anthem. Like no champions.
We got a participant, and it's Mario. One third of the Benfica After 90.
The ugly 1/3. Thanks so much for having me on. Cristiano, Alfredo, the beautiful Dave, right there.
That's a good one.
How's it going, buddy? He's got the Barton Battalion. I see this guy shirtless every weekend in the far end, leading the supporters group down there, just throwing flares and shit. The guy's amazing.
He does that? You for real?
He's sitting there.
He's selling secrets. He's selling secrets that shouldn't be told on air. Right
again.
This is our curling league. This is curling, our Canadian professional curling league here.
Exactly.
My favorite Canadian sport.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me on. Benfica After 90, we go live shortly after Benfica games, usually a few minutes afterwards or later that evening. So I do appreciate you for having me on. I'll keep it short and sweet for you guys because I know Luigi and Nina made some comments about this. We went through a dark period in this club back in the 2000s there, late 90s, where Luis Rivera came on and he changed some things. His first 6 years at the club helped restructure a few items, build a Seychelles, get that growing, and then over the last decade, we've had a situation where he's kind of taken us to a certain level, and now we're on neutral. We've been on neutral for a while. We have this mentality right now at the club that we're not meant to go beyond or far into the Champions League. And the thing that really ticks me off, because all I hear is lame excuses a lot of times from certain quarters of, we don't have the money, we're not the PSGs of the world, yada, yada, yada. And it pains me. It pains me to talk about this, but you got our rivals up north, going to the knockouts on a regular basis, and we're not. We got our rivals up north making less money on jersey sales, less money on sponsors, less money on TV rights, less attendance. We've sold over $1 billion US in players in the last 10 years. If you want to shorten the window in the last, not this summer, from the previous summer to this summer, over $250 million in transfers alone. And if you look at the squad today compared to the beginning of last season, it doesn't feel like there's a drastic difference. It doesn't feel like the club is moving out of the position it's in and moving forward. We keep talking about the youth academy. I like the vision, but it seems like Luis Rivera's got a staff vision, great, but he doesn't seem to know what to do now. We're developing a lot of these kids. We're having several years. We're developing good talents, but it doesn't seem like we're going above and beyond, and that's kind of the frustrating part, I think, for a lot of Benfiquistas. You look at what's on the pitch when you see a club with our depth, our salary, with the money invested, and we're struggling against Gil Vicente, teams that have like no budget. You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel right. It feels like something just isn't right. I think there's a certain attitude that is being launched in the wrong direction. Like when you see Seferovic shushing the fans, you see Grimaldo talking out against the club. You see Luis Rivera throwing a hissy fit at the General Assembly because some guy's calling him a thief because he can't get the math to add. Like, you're talking a lot of money, and the debt's not really that much lower. Like, there's just a lack of transparency or understanding what's going on. And I think it'd go a long way for this club on the management side to come out and start explaining kind of, here, this was our vision. We're there. Here's how we get to the next step. And by the way, this is the type of money we're bringing in, and here's where the money's going. Here's how the debt looks. Here's how the structure looks. Because it seems like more and more the dollars get bigger, and it gets more and more convoluted what's happening with those dollars. So I honestly, that's my rant on it, to be honest. And when people talk about, oh, who's going to replace Luis Vieira? If the man dies today, man has a heart attack, is the club closing its doors? Game over, acaba? No mais Benfica? No man is bigger than the club. And for the history of Benfica, the average president's been around 3 years. The guy's been around 16 years. And he's done a pretty damn good job at setting up Benfica TV and a lot of people around them to make it seem like there's no more competition to run. And so I don't know. It doesn't feel right. And it feels like anyone that disagrees with them, it's kind of like they love the club, the Benfiquistas, but at the same time, you're not allowed to speak up if you don't like how things are being run. And it's an odd feeling coming from the club at the moment.
Yeah. No, look, I think it's within our fabric to question and to expect more from this club, who is such a great club, who we have seen as children, listening to the stories of our fathers, of our grandfathers, and just having a mental picture of this great club. So naturally, we expect this club to live up to its image. And when you see what the current presence is of this club, especially in Europe, you're like, well, this is not the Benfica that I expect, or that I envision, or that I know. So it becomes frustrating for people to see how low Benfica has come, especially in Europe, where you're supposed to be raising your prestige. There's talks all the time about exploring the Asian market, exploring the American market. If you don't have a good participation in the Champions League, you could forget about those markets. As Dave has mentioned many times, if you want to promote your brand, you have to on the great stage. And it's not an ICC, I'm sorry, that you're going to promote your brand to the global level.
And I just want to add one other quick point. The mentality, especially this year, going into the Champions League, when we had our best 11 playing a weak side in Portugal, and then you go into your first Champions League game at home, and you're playing a guy like Servi that hasn't played in ages. You're playing children that have never played for the main team. That message that it sends, not only to the fans, but across Europe, that we're not here to play. This is the shopping network. We got this Servi guy we want to offload. Look at this guy, Aki. We got Tavares there. Hey, Tres Tavares, you buy one, you get two free. It's like the mentality is like you're taking this as a sales pitch, it feels like. And it's before, yeah, I know we got to advertise a little bit, but it's getting a little bit of like embarrassing.
Yeah.
Look, man, while I agree, and this is, just a general statement, Mario, not going at you. Please don't think I will. But while I agree with everything you said, and I share the same concerns, I think we all share the same concerns here. I do have a question though. Like the signs of where we're at now, the signs have been there for years now. And what I want to know is, and this is a question to any Benfiquis that's listening, because I want to know what triggered it. What is it that, because as I stated, these signs have been there for years and people were okay with it. This is what a lot of, at least the people we interacted with here on the Benfica podcast and the people I interact with on Twitter, obviously, this is what the people wanted. I mean, Mario, didn't the people ask for more kids from Seychelles? Didn't the people ask for a coach from within to be? This is what a lot of the people that supported this process or this idea of our president over the last, I want to say 8 to 10 years. I'm not even going to say the beginning when he got there, but once he started promoting the Seychelles 09, something like that. When he started promoting Seychelles, this is what most of the supporters wanted. This is what they had. So again, I'm asking for anyone that's listening, what was it that triggered it when, to people like myself, and I'm not special, I'm just stupid a lot of the times, and I'm a lot more negative than the rest of you guys. So I see things. I think I see things sooner.
I can answer you though.
Okay, that's what I'm. Yeah, I would just like to know what the hell triggered it.
The big difference is when you look at, and I think the prime example, the clubs we mentioned already, Ajax, where they got a great youth academy, is you go, okay, that vision is doable. It's not easy, but it's something you can try to do in Europe. It's not going to be an easy path. You can get the youth, develop a good academy. And it was kind of the mentality, okay, we got the Seychelles and George Jesus, he just doesn't, he's not buying into the vision. So when he left, people can say, okay, fine. We can believe the BS. Let's get this other guy here. He's believing in it, but you know what? The tactics aren't good. And after a bit of time, it looked worse and worse. Okay, fine. It's not him. It wasn't George Jesus. It wasn't Rui Tati. Let's get Lodge. Now you're not seeing it again. It gets to a point where I think the basic concept is correct. That you can take youth, you can take some experienced guys in Europe. You can look at Ajax, they got a guy like Blind. They get guys that are talented but on the fringes that are experienced to kind of bring this youth up and make a deep run. But they don't have the guy up top leading it. They don't have the guy up top with the right vision to say, this is even little things like the medical staff. You look at the fitness issues we got right now at this club. You hear about stories about our scouting departments, our best scouts are leaving. There's bits and pieces around this club that are not going well and they're progressively getting worse. It's the guy up top that doesn't know what to do next. You built the Seychelles, but what do you do from here?
Well, and Mario, I'm glad, honest, and I'm ecstatic that you've answered that question for me, because I was honestly asking for an honest question, and you did. You brought up a tremendous point, which is Ajax last year, Ajax, whatever, showed the world what a team of the capacity of a Benfica could do. And like you stated just now, talking about the leadership, they brought back Mark Overmars. They brought back Edwin van der Sar. They brought back the legends of their team to run their team and run it the right way. And they have a mixture of all veterans. And I laughed when you said blind. It's blind. But I was like, yeah. No, when he said blind, I'm thinking like for quests. I'm like, is there a blind? Like, did something happen? I'm like, he must be talking. That was funny. But that's what they have, a mixture of veterans with the youngsters, the youngs, the guys that came up through the Seychelles of the world. And that is a great point. And I think that run last year showed the Benfiquistas around the world. And I think that's why, to that point that I made earlier to Dave, I think that's why Dave and others mentioned the semifinals, because they made a semifinal run. But that's a tremendous point. I think that Ajax opened up the eyes of a lot of Benfiquistas, because Benfica is a club very similar to the Ajaxes of the world, and why the hell can't we make the same simple effort to go ahead and they sold their two best players, the Lid and the
and that's the most insulting part. The most insulting part is that they make the run, they lose their top guys, and here they are back in the Champions League this year, fighting like dogs to try to make a run at it again. Like, it feels like there's a passion there that's not here, and it's kind of like you're doing the right things, but something's missing, and I don't want to blame the Treinador, and I don't want to blame. I feel like it starts higher because responsibility starts at the top. And honestly, I believe I'm very grateful for Luis Vieira, and thank you for everything we've gotten, but he doesn't seem to know what to do. And I honestly, I hate saying this, because I've referenced this a few times now. I hate Port, just their attitude, but no one doubts Pinto da Costa's mentality that he wants to win. Like, they're assholes up there, but there's this fire to win. I just don't feel that fire. Like, I don't feel like this burning desire coming from the top. And I think I don't know. If something changed, it has to be up there. And I don't know who it is, though. I don't have the answer there.
All good points, Mario.
Yep, fantastic. And thank you for answering that question, man. I'm glad you answered it, and brings up a tremendous point. And I think everyone listening will most definitely agree on that, man.
Keep up the amazing work. A quick shout out to Alex and Dylan, because I forgot to mention their signs at Benfica After 90. You guys do amazing work, and I'll see Topless Dave again very shortly at the final there coming up.
Are they coming in?
Yeah.
No, I don't think Alex is. I'll check with Dylan. I'll see if I can get Dylan on here. But yeah.
All right, buddy.
All right, peace.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Bye. That's great, man. All great points, man. And I love this, the fact that we're giving a voice to people, and people, they all have different opinions, and it can't always be my opinion, Cristiano's opinion, Dave's opinion.
Why not?
It's great to hear the people.
Wait, it's ours.
It's
We're getting replaced.
Yeah. What do you call it? I got next one here is a recorded message from Tiago, known as @sauce_SLB from New Jersey, Washington, New Jersey. I'll play it right now.
What's going on, Benfica Podcast? This is your friend Tiago, or as I'm known in the Twitter world at sauce_SLB. I feel like the main problem right now is with Benfica is the divide between fans. It's been coming for a while. It started last year when Rui Vitoria had those bad stretch of games, and Luis Felipe Vieira put a Band-Aid on it, and now that Band-Aid's starting to come off. That Band-Aid, better known as Brun Lage, is not producing the results, and it's kind of hard.
Oops.
Hard to keep that wound closed when you can't produce the results. With that being said, another topic is the whole fans against Vieta thing. Seems to me like a lot of the younger fans, somewhere in their early 20s, are the ones that are having a problem with Luis Felipe Vieira. But if you think about it, a 20-year-old, if he started watching soccer at the same age I did, which was 5 years old, they would have only started watching 15 years ago, which was a year after Luis Felipe Vieira took over the presidency of Sport Lisboa Benfica. And they would not have been around for the Betos and the Binas of the world, and would not have been around for the Vietnam era. I'm sure you guys know that era and don't like to relive it as I don't. But just quick stats for the Vieta era. Here is 7 league titles, 3 Taças Portugal, 7 Taças da Liga, 4 Super Taças, including 4 doubles, 1 treble, and 2 Europa League finals. The 16 years before Luis Felipe Vieira, 3 league titles, 2 Taças Portugal, and 1 Super Taça back in 1989. So that just goes to show you what kind of production we've had under his reign. And lastly, the last point I want to touch on is just our current roster is not up to par for Champions League. Our Europa League lineup versus Sevilla, and this is Europa League, not even Champions League. Europa League final squad was Oblak, Maxi Pereira, Luizão, Garay, Siqueira, Ruben Amorim, André Gomes, Gaetan, Suleimani, Lima, and Rodrigo. Wasn't the most fancy of teams, but were sure exciting to watch play. So I want to know what you guys think, and Força Benfica.
Thanks, Thiago. Yeah, I mean, he brings up great. Look, I don't think anyone questions the work that's been done by Luis Felipe Vieira. I think that, as many people have alluded to, it's ciao Laura. It's time to punch out and give the next guy a chance to hopefully give continuity to the work that you have done, and also to extend some of the projects that he has envisioned. I mean, I'm not saying abandon everything that's in the plan to go forward, but definitely somebody has to give continuity. That needs to be a more of a focus put on Europe and bringing prestige to the club, not because you have Fly Emirates on your shirt, but because you're having a good showing in the Champions League. Cristiano, what do you think? While I bring a couple more people here.
I think that Thiago shares a different perspective, a different point of view than the rest, than the first couple of people that have joined us here on the podcast. But he's totally within his right to do so, and he brings up some very valid points. I think, as Mario and other guys have stated, that there's a lot to be thankful for. But there are some people that are fed up with what's gone on over the last couple of seasons, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Benfica should. How many times I got to scream about it, but Benfica should put a better effort forth in the European competitions. Hasn't been so for the last 3-4 years now, and it's been pretty rough. And so I think people are starting to get fed up with it. But there's also a lot of good things that Orelhas has done. So
yeah,
let's keep that in mind.
Next up, and I wanted to put a little bit more room in between and Mario and you, but since you've been patiently waiting there, I'll go ahead and bring you on, Cynthia.
Do you want me to leave?
No,
I
no,
can leave.
two-thirds of Zagish. Where the Zagish are
That's definitely the better looking
Mota.
of the Mota household, because you want to throw a jab at they being the good looking one. Now I got to throw it back at them. That's definitely the better looking.
We're all good looking, remember? Baby Keishas are good looking.
How are you?
Yeah.
I'm not bad. How are you guys?
Good. So what's on your mind?
Firstly, Dave, you trying to copy us with the scarf collection? What's going on over there?
Yeah, you guys go horizontal, I go vertical. There,
Oh,
that's
we've
how
got
we're going here.
we've got that on other walls. The whole
Okay,
basement. We'll show you one day. It's ridiculous, but I like it. And then regarding Benfica, so obviously Hubs went over all the financials. We both work in the financial sector, so we both care about bankruptcy and debt. And that matters because that type of thing, when a loan comes due, all of a sudden you got a for sale Mitro just so that you can showcase Raul, who's going to be the next big sale. Yeah, thanks for that. That went well. So obviously, I'd prefer debt being paid as to what's been happening. And especially after finding out within the last, 10 years, it's been almost $1 billion in sales, more if we're saying American dollars. So I'm like, that's great, guys. Let's pay the bills. And then putting all that aside, I get so annoyed with our Benfica, we're going to call it customer service. And what I mean by this is I am an expat. I am an out-of-country socio. They don't mind taking my money since 2012 to be a socio. Me and the 4 socios in this house, so my husband and I pay, so that's 200 euros a year. And then the kids are free until they're like 16 or whatever. We'll figure that out. They take that money, but then no one's there to help me when I email, which I know is silly, but that's what I tell some friends from other teams when they're like, y'all have emails. I'm like, they don't answer mine, so I don't know what emails they're talking about. Just being facetious about emails. And then furthermore, shipping costs is insane to us. Anything like this, I'm like, come on, guys, what's the perk of being a socio? Then go further. And when I do want to visit Portugal, I can't get a ticket because now they got Red Pass and everybody's buying those up. And I'm like, where am I going? So some things need to get looked at.
Yeah.
But it's specifically finances first, and then let's move on to like shipping and handling.
Yeah, but it's definitely the support of the sausage is definitely something that they lack on. Even in Portugal, how many times have people struggled to buy tickets online in Portugal?
I think Cynthia has reached the wrong. You must try to reach the customer service part of
it. Dave, are you the customer service? I need customer service.
We'll transfer you to another line that'll be able to assist you.
Don't do it. Do you guys know the first time I phoned in?
We're gonna transfer.
Because there's a number.
Neil,
yeah, I actually had my father-in-law speak because I was like, apparently they don't understand my Portuguese, so I had my father-in-law talk to them. 5 hours he was on the phone talking to some Manuel there. Did anything get figured out? Nope.
Yeah. No, it's definitely lacking. That's something that I've always heard. That and look, and like you said, they have no qualms in taking your money.
No, not at all.
They do take it. I mean, the shipping costs, provided that it arrives to you within, but you almost got to put together a small container of merchandise, and everybody chips in for the shipping costs.
Look,
I've done.
I don't think it's just a Benfica thing. Unfortunately, I think it's a Portuguese thing. Customer service in Portugal is not the greatest. I love Portugal, but customer service, I bitch to you about it all the time. So definitely some great points, Cynthia, and hopefully someone at Benfica is listening and they'll take some time out from building the Benfica hospital, the Benfica airport, the Benfica nursery, the Benfica zoo.
Which I get no perks because I'm outside the country.
Oh, they can absolutely.
Yeah. Cynthia, always a pleasure.
Yep.
Oh, last thing.
Go ahead.
Keep going.
The last thing that just drives me up a wall is BR Football, which I love watching them, right? The Champions is a hilarious comic strip, cartoon.
Yeah.
we got roasted because
I gotta
João Felix is finally part of a team that can make it out of the group stage. We're a joke. And what kills me is our guys on social media, regardless that they're not shipping our shit out, they're still like hashtag Maior do Portugal. Really? Really? You're gonna hashtag me this right now? Where's my jersey? Just drive me up a wall.
You're right. I mean, for the two titles that we have, we certainly become the butt of the jokes in Europe in terms of Champions League. Probably the team with the most participations in the past, for sure. We're right up there with Real Madrid and other teams in terms of showing in the Champions League, and the worst record in the Champions League in the past. I would say 5 years.
I just want to know how Mario does it. How does he get a word in when he driving you up the wall? I mean, Mario, hats off to you, sir.
You son of a gun. At the ICC game, you didn't shut up, and now you're saying I talk too much.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Watching you.
No, but for sure, man. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be changed.
For sure.
I would gladly start with on the field product before.
Of course. But I didn't want to continue sounding like the record, right? I wanted to just give another thing that's an issue. There's a lot of issues.
Yeah, that's definitely a very interesting angle, and for us expats, very important, right? And extremely important.
Expat. That's a term like back in the Vietnam days. No,
you're an expatriot. You left the country.
That's
Patriot,
right.
The football players.
No. Call it.
You wish you were a patriot. Look at all they win.
Cynthia,
Big blue baby.
always a pleasure.
Fantastic.
No, thank you guys so much
Take care.
for ranting about goddamn shipping jerseys. Come on.
We're gonna hit up UPS while we're at it. Why?
No, well, you know what? It might be better than DHL, but anyway.
CC them. Yep.
Take care.
Take care.
Ciao.
Bye.
Look forward to the Augies.
Yep.
So the next president has to be an expat, somebody that's good in customer service, and will be in charge of the shipping as well.
Gotta feel our pain. Next up, you may know him as Nivek SLB. We know him as Kevin from Quebec. Comment ça va?
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Good.
Très bien, monsieur.
How are you, Kevin? Thanks, man. Thanks for coming in, man. You've been a loyal supporter and follower of the podcast since the very early days, man. It's always a pleasure to meet up with you when we meet up face to face, especially on these ICC now. So it's great, and thanks for popping in. So what's on your mind?
What's on my mind is the Benfica brand. Figured I'd go a little bit off the chart of off topic a bit of what everyone's been talking about. The brand itself, the stadium naming. We've heard recently in the past about there could have been some name changes to the stadium. Some numbers of like some 10 million per year for 10 years. I think it was Yokohama or something like that. They were interested. I think if that were to happen, everybody's still gonna call it like the Stade de Luz. So I see it as an opportunity to us to have kind of free money for 10 years. Example, if it was 10 million a year, I could put that 10 million into lowering our debt a quick way without having to sell players. That 10 million that will be put into debt will actually save that some of the money that will go, instead of going for the player salaries, to go into player salaries instead of paying instead of letting go some players. So that would save us opportunity to letting go of players that we want to keep. Another thing is recently is the logo, the talk of the emblem being changed. This one's a little bit touchy. I'd be open to it as long as it's not a radical change. A radical change, as in the Juventus logo that's been changed shortly. I'm open to more of a retro or something a bit modern, but if it's very radical like Juventus one, I will be against it. If they were to have some concept logos and like the socios could vote on it, I'd be open to that. At least it gives some type of a voice for fans that are socios to give their opinion about it. But as is, I like it as is. But if I'm open to change. My last topic I want to talk about in the brand will be the kits. I'm a big kit collector. I got about 20 or so kits. And I would tell, if I was Benfica, I would tell Adidas that our home jerseys are almost red. Our away kits should be almost white. I like the white kits that we've had recently, and also the ones in the 80s or so, and on the 60s. And to make a third kit that will be open to any type of design, color scheme, whatever. It will be for special occasions, particularly if there's like Champions League games or Europa League games, whatever. Like for a special occasion, we could wear a special jersey, and that would also drive up some revenue for the team. And fans like to have kits, so if we could have a third one, why not? And we see a lot of nice concept ones online every now and then. And I think it will be a good opportunity for Adidas to bring their brand up to that kind of echelon, to different jerseys and whatnot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think Adidas saves that for the important teams. And right now, I'm not trying to be funny right now.
You must get 6 Champions League points to get an alternate kit made by Adidas.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, but I mean, what does it cost? I mean, it can't be that hard to come up with the white kit as the cheap kit, and then come up with the gray kit as the alternative kit.
You think as the cheap kit? You think they're not going to sell a jersey at $90 regardless?
But I'm saying that's cheap to make. That's very simple. That doesn't have that design, fabric, whatever.
They got some little kid in Asia doing it. $1 regardless of whether it's black, white, blue. It doesn't matter the color, bro.
Yeah,
Chris, I think like you said that they reserved it for bigger teams. If Benfica did a really good serious run in Champions League, or for say win something in Europa League, the names all okay. The
demand will be there. Then the demand
exactly
worldwide. Right now, the demand is just look. We're looking to supply Portugal and the Portuguese community. Yeah, there's only like 12, 13, 14 million of you. That honestly, I'm not even trying to be funny, but when you're talking about teams making runs throughout the European competitions, now you start getting fans from all different parts, every single continent. And now it just becomes a bigger demand, a higher demand. And then they have other reasons to make money, more reasons to make money. So we'll come up with a new kit. Right now, Benfica is like, yeah, okay, with the exception of a diehard Benfiquista, there's nobody else buying a freaking Benfica shirt.
You're right. I know that the Adidas outlet stores here in Canada, I was told that the reason why they don't carry any Benfica merchandise because we're a small team. Population-wise, I think populations-wise in Canada, we should be one of the top 5 teams in that would support would buy merchandise out of the big population in the Toronto area, the Montreal area, Vancouver. There will be demand will be there. I would prefer buying my Benfica gear at their official Adidas store rather than some eBay and some knockoff website.
Did you tell them that there is a huge demand, but people choose to pay the $238 shipping costs instead? No, should have mentioned that.
Well, those are the lunatics, but mostly everyone is cheap, so that's probably where there's no demand with Adidas. But before a third kit, how about just starting with a long sleeve kit? Let's get bring back the long sleeve kits.
Dave, I'm on board with you, my man. But I think, guys, if any of you know for a fact, if any of you know for a fact, I think Adidas, Nike, they stopped making long sleeve shirts, with the exception of some throwback. They stopped. I guess more.
Sure.
Yeah. Dave,
maybe they reserve it for the big clubs because I got a Manchester United last year long sleeve kit.
Listen, like I said, that might be a throwback for the most part. I'm pretty sure they stopped making long sleeves. Just guys, all you got to do is look at a Cristiano Ronaldo, right, at Real Madrid, playing with the white Real Madrid, and then a tighty whitey, like a tight under. You'll see the sleeve cuts off. I mean, so for Ronaldo, who wants long sleeves, is not wearing long sleeves. Kev, love you, my man, but you're not getting a long sleeve in Quebec.
Yeah, man.
Kevin, you know what I mean? I'm just
anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. I want to keep it short and sweet.
Thanks,
beautiful.
Man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Participation.
Merci.
Long sleeve is my thing.
Talking about somebody that is in the shirt business.
You like it?
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. Glad he didn't send us any, but it's okay.
I will after the show. I will.
Also known
after we're off air, we can't promote it.
Smart. Also known as Jafust from Canada. What's happening, my brother?
Not much. Just chilling out in my new basement. Finally, it's complete after 7 months. It's taken longer to do this basement than Leash VP8. getting us out of debt. That seems to be the theme of the show today. So that and Champions League, and unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna deviate from that subject. I think for me, the biggest thing that I obviously on everybody's mind is obviously the Champions League and the lack of our participation, enthusiasm. I don't know what else to describe it, but the one a different take I'm gonna go with this is, I rue the days when we used to get players like Amikuli or Aymar and surround them then and complement those players with our youthful players. I think it was in 2011 or 2012 where Luis Fifieta said, because of austerity and we have to go do this, the youth model, we're not going to be bidding for those type of players anymore. And I think that's wrong because to get to the next level, like what we've been saying tonight on the podcast about Ajax, you need experience and you need players with international experience. So players like Mikuli, players like Saviola, players like who I just mentioned, Aymar. You need those players to kind of take you to the next level because without them, I feel that you're lacking a little bit of experience when it comes to the Champions League. And a lot of people can say, well, you have Rafa, you have Pizzi, you have players who've been with the club for years like Grimaldo. I'm talking to the next level. You got to bring in players who have experience in the top 5 leagues, in England, in Italy, in Spain. Maybe they're out of the the they can't play for Barcelona or Real Madrid anymore. They're not talented enough, but they're still big enough for a club like Benfica. You know what I mean? Like Saviola was, obviously it was no longer useful for Barcelona. Came to Benfica. Aymar was at Valencia. Came to Benfica. Mikuli was no longer needed at Juventus. Came to Benfica. So I think we lack those type of players to take it to the next level. And I've talked about this before. You kind of need a espina dorsal. You need maybe a center forward, a guy in the middle, and a guy in the back line, someone like similar to Luisão, to have that, and then you surround that with youthful players. So
that it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, is that there's a mix. There has to be a mix, and there's a. You make a good point about these type caliber players that are out there, but we don't go get, whether it's because they have a high salary or because they don't want to come and play at Benfica,
or it's not. Unfortunately, they changed their motto, which is it's not worth to invest in a 28-year-old, pay him that astronomical salary, and then we can't turn around and sell them for a ridiculous amount.
Correct.
They'll be 30. Benfica just changed their whole business model. They changed their whole thing, which is develop within, sell, and sell those players for high prices. But unfortunately,
there's a ceiling to that, isn't it?
But
there's a ceiling in Portugal. You can win the title by going use that model, but you can't win. You can't go beyond. It seems to be you can't go beyond the quarterfinals in the Champions League with that model.
Quarterfinals, get out of the group.
Or even get I mean, you know what I mean?
But Serge, that's what I was. Unfortunately for us, this model is good enough to win in Portugal, and that's what. Right. Because again, I'm sorry for saying this, but the only way that this is going to really change is if we lose, and none of us here are suggesting that we do lose. None of us are hoping that we lose, but until shit really, falls down. It's not going to change, guys. The way things are, it's good enough to win us the Liga NOS. It's good enough to get that 43 million guaranteed into the Champions League. It's good enough to sell João Felix. Next year, it'll be a Ruben Dias, and then it'll be a Florentino, and then there's other kids that'll be up. And so until something changes, right, which, I don't want to say it's the president, but he's the guy making all the decisions.
It's not necessarily the president. It goes deeper than that. It's the mentality. When you've got someone like a Zé Mourinho going on Benfica TV and saying that Benfica fans are are demanding with expecting European success, that's
but he's
fucking ridiculous.
He's an idiot. And anyone listening to him is an idiot.
But that's the thing. He's on an official club channel saying that,
The
and you're going to get a lot of people probably agreeing with them.
Serge, that starts somewhere, Serge.
No, but I mean, we only have the expectations because the president has been telling us for 10 years,
right,
putting together a team to compete in Europe to win a European title. So if he has told us that, it's only fair for us to expect that. Now, for this clown to go on Benfica TV and say, "Oh, Benfica fans are they have high expectations," and Insônias Carvão actually he does a lot of comedy thing, but this was the best thing he did is that he put that clown on one side, and on the other side of the screen, he had all the statements that over the years Luis Felipe Vieira had mentioned on newspapers or on media about Benfica in Europe.
Exactly.
A guy from
Benfica. Yeah.
Zamarin, that like Sergio said. Sergio, what else is on your mind?
Hey,
man?
I gotta give him credit. I never knew who he was until now. So whatever he did worked.
Well, it's funny. He's been around. He's been on Facebook. He's been on Twitter, and he's been around as a pundit, as one of the pundits.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I've turned myself off of Benfica TV, and this is another gripe that I have because they've gone way too far to punditry. I like other programs like the one that you were on, Melhor da Semana. It's a great show. It's a general information show. It covers a wide range of topics. Really cool. But then when you get into shows like Minha Chama and they start smashing other teams or talking about referees, that's where I deviate from that. Like that's for TVI, Seek, Correio da Manhã. That's for them to do. We should be above that, but I guess you've got a channel and you've got to fill 24 hours. You got to do something, right?
What they need to do if they want to fill hours is bring back that show.
Memoria,
whatever.
No,
whatever.
What was it? No, what was the name
It's
of
about
the show?
the stuff
They had
Patrimônio.
Patrimônio, the Glorias, right?
Yeah, Vitórias e Patrimônios. They need to bring.
Yeah.
That was a phenomenal show. They need to stick to more of that.
Yeah.
Get that Benfiquismo in all of us. Because when I watch every single one of those, I watch on YouTube. I wanted to cry. I wanted to eat my laptop. I wanted to kick something. I wanted. That's what they need. Not these clowns talking up this gossip. You know, the Pedro Guerras of the world.
The propaganda.
It's unfortunate, but right now, man, there's only one way that's going to change, and it's not going to be anytime soon.
That's right.
What else is on your mind, Sergio?
I think that's pretty much it for me. But I do want to echo what Cynthia was saying. They need to find my jerseys. I've been griping about that online. I got my money back from Visa, but have I heard a peep from Benfica? No, they didn't say anything. They haven't emailed me back. So
I got an email. They were going to send them out to you, sir. They stole them on Sunday. I don't know if you're aware, but they broke into the store.
The biggest shame of it is like the jersey was this year's jersey, actually the one that you're wearing right now, but the other jersey was my daughter's first actual jersey. Like it was going to be her first official jersey, and that one pissed me off. I'm like, really? I don't care. I have like a million jerseys for myself, but the one jersey that I wanted to get was for my daughter, and they screwed that one up. So whatever. Hopefully, if there's two things, I'd rather win in Champions League than get jerseys. Let me put it that way. So.
You have just got done in by Benfica. First the Giuseppe Cup, now the jersey situation. Man, it is not.
I don't want to say it, Sergio, but I don't think they like you.
Well, you know what? They're gonna have to live with me because I'm part of the Casa Benfica. So whether or not they like me or not, I'm technically part of the club now. So I'm part of the Conseil Fiscal over there at the Casa Benfica Toronto.
It might be because you make money off the Benfica brand.
Hey. Competition.
All right, brother.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
He's promoting the city, bro. He's not.
Send me your sizes, by the way.
Okay. Anyway, great stuff. I'll send you my size definitely. I think he's already sent. XL is mine. Here's another.
I'm a medium.
Here's another message from Mr. Benfica, who also does a Benfica podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is the Mr. Mike Agostinho, host of Mr. Benfica. How is everybody doing tonight? Thank you to Alfredo, Cristiano, and Dave for allowing me and everybody else to contribute to this open forum. My biggest thing going on right now with Benfica, my 2 cents, although you can definitely point fingers at the manager at Bruno Lage, squad selection hasn't been right. The team is not playing well. The system of play is not working. He seems to be stubborn and holding on to a system that doesn't play. Whether or not his hand is being forced or not, we don't know. I'm suspicious of that myself, but I think the biggest problem, and nothing can be solved until the biggest problem is resolved, is at the very top. I think Luis Felipe Vieira and everybody that's close to him is not focused on the product on the pitch, not focused on the football. It seems like everything else is more important than the football. Everything's about, money and about infrastructure and investing here and selling players there. Well, basically, the club has not put a team on the field for the level that we expect from Benfica. That's my personal opinion. Selling a player like João Felix for the enormous amount of money that he was sold for and not replacing him is inexcusable in my opinion. The team has not been reinforced in the areas they need. We have still... we still have Andre Almeida at right back. We wanted better. We wanted an upgrade there. We're going into the Champions League selecting players like Jardel and Feijó, with all due respect to everything they've done for this club over the years, and they deserve that respect. Their time has come and gone. We really need to be better at those positions, key positions. Can't keep making mistakes. The club needs to prioritize the product on the field. That's my take. I am the Mr. Mike Agostinho. Find me on Twitter at Benfica Mister. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. Look, he brings up a great point. And again, it goes back to expectations. The expectations that we have from this team, and right now they're not really doing much for our expectations. They're not meeting our expectations.
I hate to admit it, but I have to take some fault in this, some blame in this, which I think once I made the asinine prediction that Benfica would win the championship by Christmas, it's all been downhill ever since. So
you jinxed it, buddy.
I'll take some of the responsibility, and I want to apologize to the Benfica world for having done so.
Anyway, we got another one. This one is from Professor Bananas, and he was in the UK. And here's his message.
So the reason why I'm participating today is because I'm pissed. And I'm pissed because Benfica's president has been promising us since 2001 that this will be the biggest club in Europe and the biggest club in the world. And under his wing, Benfica will fight for European titles every single season. And that's not what's been happening lately. And on his latest remarks, he tells us that the players that Benfica will ever need are currently being developed at Seixal. In his own words, he says that if Benfica will ever going to spend any money, it's going to be on young players that need further development at Seixal, or a specific player that will eventually be sold without even playing for Benfica. He then adds that if Benfica really wants good players, we have to spend 30 or 40 millions, and that's a lot of money that Benfica can't afford. If it doesn't work out, it will disrupt the locker room or Benfica's finances. And that's a lie, and not a good one, by the way, because you don't need to go far to find good players for half that amount. Look at Zé Luís. Look at Bruno Fernandes. How much did they cost? And 30 millions is not a lot of money when your budget is over 300 millions. It's money that we can actually afford. But he's not going to spend it on new players because that's something he doesn't understand the thing about. Football, in his own words, is not his thing. His thing is construction work. So he's going to spend it on additional 5,000 seats at Estádio da Luz, or on a shady deal where he gets 200 rooms at Seixal in exchange for players. Who knows? What we do know is that he thinks these demands are unreasonable. But in fact, these demands are based on his own words, on his own promises. And it's frankly embarrassing how low the bar is set right now, that we're not even demanding to be champions or reach a European final. Hell, we're not even asking to go through the group stage anymore. We're just asking for a win or consecutive wins. We are the laughing stock in Europe, yet his strategy remains the same. Collect the millions from UEFA, apply no money whatsoever on new players, and keep telling us that we'll be European champions in a few years, but perhaps we should apply a strategy of our own and kick him out. However, these hands around my neck tell me otherwise, so forget everything I just said.
That's great, man. And look, nothing but truths there. Nothing but truths.
I think it was the most impressive part is Luis Felipe Vieira, while being a socio Porto and Sporting in 2001, saying Benfica is the biggest club in the world. I think that was the most impressive thing.
Yeah.
Well, and just a simple maths. If he's saying that to get a really good player, we got to spend 40 million, but we spent 20 on RDT and 17 on Vinicius, so that's 37 million right there. So what's another 3 million to get a real difference maker rather than getting two players that we already don't have a spot for when we only play with one striker up top.
I think it's unrealistic for Benfica to go out and get $40 million players right now, and anyone to expect Benfica to do so, I think, is.
But why is it unrealistic when you're going to spend that 37 million anyway?
Because you're spending 37 million on 2 points. When you're spending 40 million on a player, Dave, that's a player with a lot of market. That's most likely going to want to play in one of the better leagues in the world, want to play in a team that is going to get out of the Champions League group stage, is going to demand high wages. We're talking about a totally different level of player. Just my opinion, but you can't look at spending 37 on 2 players as being one player, Dave. It's totally different. No. Maybe the salaries are both, but it's still, if you combine this, but it's still different demands and different expectations for players. Just my own little 2 cents.
Yeah. Look, there's a lot to digest here from everyone. Certainly, we appreciate all the everyone's opinions, man, and it's great. And I think that there's an overarching theme here as everyone talks, and it's dissatisfaction with the performances of the team, with how the team has been led, with customer service. So it's not the best of times for sure in terms of being a Benfiquista. Yet we can't lose sight that we're in second place. But yeah, I think that everybody is somewhat burned by what we went through with Rui Vitória, and we never want to be put in that position. And I think that a lot of people have realized that we ended up in that position because we weren't more demanding, not only from the coach but also from the directive, not only from our from the players but also from the president. And it's all great and fine to have these projects and to make this money and to liquidate some of your debt, but come on, I think that most of what we look at Benfica for is the product on the field, and it's not something that it's happening right now. And a lot of us, and none of us are experts in the subject, but there's plenty of ideas here that could be applied throughout.
Yeah, I think we need to be a little bit more calmer, for lack of a better word, but at the same time, be the same demanding fans that we've been this whole time. Demand that Benfica be right back to where they belong. Demand that Benfica puts their best foot forward. Demand that Benfica wins as our last invitee or participant here on the pod said. At this point, we just want Benfica to win back-to-back games in the competition. Yeah. I mean, I think we, I don't think that's a lot to ask for. So I just hope that the real Benfiquistas, the guys that are inside making the decisions, feel the club the same way we do, and demand of this club what we do, and not listen to those dummies on Benfica TV. And there's a lot of tremendous people on Benfica TV, but there's a lot of dummies on there as well. And hopefully they don't listen to those and build the team according to what those idiots think this club should be.
Yeah, there's definitely the TV serves, the BTV serves as Benfica propaganda, but that doesn't mean that you could pull an Iraqi minister of defense type of shenanigan when talking about Europe and just applying a spin.
Yeah, but the Iraqi defense minister, the threat of being hung. I mean, at least you could defend him being an idiot. These guys, as far as I know,
well, maybe there is a threat of being hung by from up top there.
Well,
in the middle of what is it?
It's the same thing that Pedro Guerra also said, that the president did not put his hands on anybody's neck when there's actually video
you
of him doing
slapping
that.
A wasp, right? You was slapping a wasp away, something like that. I mean, it is what it is.
So look,
every club has these morons, these clowns, and unfortunately, it seems that they take up more attention than what the real guys like João Martins, João Gonçalves, the guys that do the really hard work of trying to represent Benfiquistas worldwide with dignity and respect. And unfortunately, these idiots get more TV time, get more airtime than the real people do. But, as Benfiquistas need to stick together. We need to really see the club for what it is and ignore these idiots, because in my world, the best form of dealing with these people is ignoring them and not paying them any mind. As I said, I never heard of this idiot prior to this week. So kudos to him. At least he made himself aware to myself. He's on my radar, but I'm not gonna pay him any attention or give him any more airtime. And that's the last time I speak about him. And I'd rather come up here and speak about João Martins, João Gonçalves, and the guys that are doing the good work at Benfica TV. And I hope to keep listening to them. The few times I do turn on that channel, aside from watching a game, it is to watch that. Even though Antunes is trying to get me to watch some more modalidades, which I'll do in the future. But for now, it's our good friends that I listen to, and I choose not to listen to those idiots.
Yeah. Look, this has been great. This open forum has been great just to gauge the pulse. And I know it's a small sample here, but I think that this small sample speaks to what people are feeling out there. And Benfica FM also had an open forum. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm sure that when I hear it back, there's a lot of the same sentiment being echoed, with the exception of shipping and handling. But those are our problems, right? We could speak to our problems because we live them day to day. It's definitely a concern. It's definitely a concern that Benfica is not more supportive of the sausage that live abroad, whether it's in England, whether it's in the United States of America, which, by the way, is a huge market, and there's a huge immigrant population here in the United States. So why shouldn't Benfica focus their attention on improving their customer service here in the United States? It makes perfect sense to us, at least. But
but realistically, they should improve their customer service worldwide,
Period.
Not just to the United States, worldwide, because they are, as the president says, a world brand, and they're one of the biggest. And if you're one of the biggest corporations in the world, you want to have respectable, and you want to have, serviceable, as you mentioned, customer service.
That's
department. Right. We got to send Dave over there to handle that.
yeah,
I think
we didn't even touch up on the Zenit game. We got so caught up in this forum, and it was really great listening to.
We've had enough negativity. For
It's not really worth it. But Benfica sees themselves at 0 points after match day 2 in the Champions League, and we spoke about how this was a very important game for both Benfica and Zenit. Zenit took advantage of it. Benfica didn't. I spoke to somebody
childish mistakes
earlier this week that told me that they had this gut feeling that Benfica wasn't going to lose another game in the Champions League group stage. Hey, I hope it is. I hope that's.
You've been speaking to Zé Mourinho. You've been speaking to this guy off here, Alfred. Let me find out.
My auto mechanic.
Let me find out. But that game, a lot of childish mistakes. Unfortunately, another game, Benfica goes on the road and represents their brand with the magnificent result. Not joking. And as you stated, terrible result for Benfica, but also a terrible result for the Portuguese coefficient. Did not help, but I do believe that the Portuguese teams will overtake the Russian at some point this year. Hopefully, due to the fact we got five or six teams, whatever it is, in European competitions. Hopefully, we'll score enough points to overjump them, and then maybe Porto or Sporting could get that second place nod next year.
Yeah. Anyway, next game for Benfica will be the Taça de Portugal, third round of the Taça de Portugal. And in third round, there's still minnows in the competition. Benfica drew Cova de Piedade, the team that hails from Almada. And also the third round, as in the rules, as a little caveat, the big teams have to travel to the little teams.
So does that mean they're coming to play a Seixal like Coimbrões is going to Porto B?
No.
Oh, so because they only get that.
But
we don't get those perks.
Cova de Piedade has enough conditions that Benfica could go.
But not
Coimbrões. Coimbrões will play at Portuguese home field.
Fantastic.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It'll be rough.
Anyway, just to give you a little, and Dave, I haven't scanned through your email of stats yet, so if you want to jump in anything, but I'll just give a little bit about Cova de Piedade. The game takes place on the 18th of this month. Last time the two faced each other, these two teams faced each other, Benfica won a 9-1, and that was in the 88-89 season. The starting 11, Chris, I'll give you starting 11. You'll recognize some of these names. Remember, this is a Portuguese Cup game playing against a very low division team.
1989?
This is the team that Benfica fielded. Dias Graça in goal.
Oh, man, I have a shirt at home.
Fonseca, Abel Silva, Garrido, and Samuel.
Oh,
you remember Samuel?
I remember Samuel, and I remember Abel Silva.
In the midfield, Shell, Miranda, Hernani, and Pacheco.
Woo, tremendous team.
And up front, Magnussen and Lehmann.
That would be Mats Magnussen.
That's right. You know who was on the bench? Look at the people on the bench. Bento, Veloso, Paneira, Vata, and Abel Campos.
Abel Campos is definitely the best one by far. Yes.
Abel came in and scored 2 goals inside 3 minutes.
Told you. Fantastic.
Mats
In that game,
Magnussen,
at least.
Mats Magnussen had a hat trick, and
Máquinas, pa.
Good
Good old times.
But that was the good old times where Benfica played these minnows, and under 6 goals it was a derrota.
A lot shorter rosters as well, so their starting 11s will be a lot deeper than what we see now, where we get 18-year-olds making their debuts. But yeah, fantastic result. This is what we speak about here on the Benfica podcast. When we grew up, Benfica would go play these small clubs. It would be chapada por todo lado, and now it's struggle to win on the road, as we saw last year. Villafranquense, was it?
Montalegre.
It was close. Villafranca, Montalegre.
Hey,
Next
Villafranca,
door.
that's Mario's town, Villafranca.
It's next door. I get those clubs. It's the uniform, the shirts. I get them confused sometimes.
Too many different colors.
Yeah, it's like Belenenses. I can never get it which one it is, but yeah.
Code City, as they like to call them. Anyway, Dave, what do you got? You want to throw out some stats? Do you have some relevant stats that you could still put out?
No, you took that 9-1 stat away from me, but yeah, we played these guys 3 times previous, and we've beaten them all 3 times.
Some international news, Dave. Why don't you?
So international news. Yeah, Rafa was called up for the Portuguese squad that's playing this weekend, but he was sent home with the left abductor tendon injury. So some concern there for Rafa, who's been one of our most electrifying players. So some concern there for Rafa, and my boy. Not so much everybody else's boy, but my boy Seferovic was named the Swiss Footballer of the Year, beating out Shaqiri and Xhaka from Liverpool and Arsenal. So
it's impressive.
Shout out to Seferovic.
Anytime you beat Shakira in a dancing competition, it's impressive.
His hips don't lie.
Now, look,
the only positive here, guys, is that
look,
Rafa
won the Portuguese title.
We don't need him until the 23rd against Lyon.
Won the Bola de Prata.
Oh, you're still talking about Seferovic?
We're going on the positives.
Okay.
Won the Portuguese title.
Had a baby.
Had a baby.
Yeah, so
finally scored with his wife. Won the Bola de Prata as the best scorer in Portuguese league. Yeah, I mean, he was definitely up there. I mean, I don't know if I would put him in the same level as Xhaka and Shaqiri, but yeah, he was voted the Swiss Footballer of the Year.
As my friend Zeka said on Twitter,
he
should thank João Felix for that award.
Half of that award belongs to João Felix.
But look, definitely good to see him get some positive news here. Hopefully, this gives him some confidence and gets him on the right track. As we failed to mention here, ladies and gentlemen, talking about the Zenit game, one of the very, very few positives of that game was Raul de Tomás scoring his first goal in a Benfica shirt, and a fantastic goal it was. And now the competition will be stiffer for Seferovic, so hopefully this positive news will give him some confidence and get him on the right track, because we know Vinicius has played well coming off the bench, and now the first goal for Raul de Tomás, so things will definitely get interesting once Benfica get back to full training with the whole roster. So again, hopefully this is something that brings Haris Seferovic some positive.
Yeah, excellent.
Guys, we had about 9 guests on here tonight, and not one of them came in and complained about Seferovic. I'm really shocked. We see all this hate for him on Twitter, but not one person came on here on this podcast to disrespect Seferovic. So
I really think the results in European competition over the last couple of years, Dave and Alfred, I think that's really starting to get to the fans, to the Saw season. I think that is a bigger concern right now than Seferovic, because to be realistic, look, as bad as he's been, he's not the only one. PZ, is he still playing for Benfica?
4 straight games now that he's been subbed off.
It's crazy, Dave, funny or crazy or whatever you want to call it. When a couple years ago, when he was having a fantastic season at Benfica, he was getting called up to the national team. Now he's absolutely brutal, and he's still getting call-ups. That's just a little weird to me. But Seferovic, there's plenty of other problems right now on this ball club, and hopefully they'll sort that out. Hopefully Bruno Lage has his players in training back focused and doing whatever it is that they did last season that they're not doing this season.
Yeah, no, it's definitely much bigger than any player at this moment. Anyway, I wanted to thank 21, Bruno, Nina, Mario, Tiago, Cynthia, Kevin, Sergio, the Mister, and Professor Bananas for contributing and for voicing their opinion, and it surely is appreciated. And look, I think that a lot of us share the same sentiment in terms of what's going on with Benfica. So it was good to hear other people's opinion and how they feel. Certainly, you could see that a lot of emotion as these people, as these folks go through what they had to say. And I hate to keep bringing it back to the customer service, but from the customer service to the job that Vieira has been doing with his construction shady deals.
All that's left for us now is to see how good Sergio's customer service is and how quickly we get his shirts.
Hey, we'll see.
We'll see if he's better than Benfica. We'll see.
It's quick shipping.
We'll see.
Anyway, at Benfica Podcast, at 10CO10, at 87DO87, Benfica Podcast.
There we go.
Don't forget to check out Benfica After 90, Azagish, and Mr. Benfica's podcast about Benfica and any other projects that are out there related to Benfica, Benfica FM, etc., etc. Memoria Gloriosa, man.
And our boys in the UK, João Emanuel.
João Manuel playing Benfica. That's you.
Everybody hit up Benfica FM and
21.
tell Baqueiro I'm coming for him. I'm challenging him in the Benfica trivia stuff.
Yeah, don't forget to check out Luis Siqueira in 21 channel.
Yeah,
he does gaming. He does Benfica live games, live reactions to Benfica live games. It's really good, and he has
I might tune in just for the accent.
He has a red Frigidaire that he uses to cook some burgers. I've seen those shows, man. They're hilarious. Like, I love you, mom.
Opa, yo.
No,
you're crossing the line.
His mom is great. His mom is great in his videos.
And he doubles down on it. Dave, what's wrong with this guy?
You guys have
got balls.
Then you know
full power.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you again next week. Well, we'll see.
Arrivederci.
Thanks for checking us out, as always. Have a great one, and Força Benfica.
Carrega.
Ciao.